Anyway, it is my pleasure, and also before I start my presentation, I would like to thank all of you for providing this opportunity to share my thoughts on how our department can move forward in the next decade. And also I'd like to thank Dr. Pearson providing this opportunity, and also for the AgriLife administration. With that introduction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably, and it's good that Dr. Pearson told me that I have more time than what I thought, but that gives me a little bit more, try to explain some of the facts, so that will help me. What I will do is I'll try to share what I feel is important for our department in the future. And what I will try to also do is show some examples of what I did in my career. So that doesn't mean we have to follow the same examples what I did so far. So this is again to demonstrate what we can do together, how we can move the department forward with all the faculty, staff, and students together. So the examples I'm going to show is an example just to see whether we should be taking some of those skills what I have, or maybe we can use some of your skills and work together in moving forward. So when I show a lot of pictures, that is again to demonstrate some of the events happen in my career that will tell you, and also that will help you to evaluate why I should be selected for the department head. So with that, my outline of my presentation will be, I'm going to kind of skip one of the slides because Dr. Pearson already covered. That will help me a little bit. And also I'm going to talk about what are the pillars of land grant institutions in general, and what is our role as a horticulture in our society. And also what are the visions and goals in the three pillars: research, teaching, and education, and some of the outreach activities. And what are the challenges we are facing right now. And then at the end, I'll try to share my leadership core values I practiced in the last 20 years. And definitely I'm not the perfect person in the world. Definitely there are failures, there are some successes, sometimes I must have done some mistakes, but those are what I believe in and I try to practice most of the time. And also at the end, I'll conclude with how I start my role as a department head if I am selected for this position. So this is my background. I think Dr. Pearson covered it very well. I just wanted to pinpoint, I was fortunate to be selected for the Rotary International. This is, I think most of you are aware, there are two major clubs in the world. One is Rotary and another one is another competitor, of course. But what I was fortunate is, among the 50 developing countries, I was one of the, our district was one among the 4 candidates selected to pursue my higher studies. And they were able to provide me my whole PhD funding, and including my trip back to India every year at that time. So I was fortunate, otherwise I would have not been here in this today to talk about shared vision about horticulture. I would have probably not graduated from Texas A&M without the funding of Rotary International. So that program was basically for freedom from hunger. The rest of that, I think most of you have observed my activities here, and I was also fortunate in the last 2 years, I was able to complete about 18-month long leadership training, which was sponsored by the AgriLife, and that's a very innovative ways to build leaders in AgriLife system, and we had to appreciate the AgriLife administration for providing that opportunity to be leaders. And also I was fortunate about 3 years ago, I attended about 2-month long leadership training which was sponsored by Texas A&M again. And I'm also part of the MEPS faculty and faculty of nutrition, and the rest of those things you know. And what I was also fortunate is, in my career, I worked in 3 off-campus centers in Texas as well as Washington State and California. That gave me a lot of opportunity to interact with the growers, interact with the industry as a postdoc as well as a faculty for about 7 years in Weslaco. I know the feeling, and also being a son of a farmer, which I still have land in India, I appreciate the value of interacting with growers and how much the industry needs our help in terms of on a day-to-day basis. So I have gained a lot of respect for the people working in extension, because as an undergraduate student back in India, we have a mandatory program that you have to stay in the village for 3 months to complete an extension course, then every evening you have to share your knowledge, what you gained in our class, as well as bring the extension and program specialist to the growers field and communicate what we do. And that really gave me a lot of respect for what is extension about as an undergraduate student. And it's a mandatory course. We had to get good grades, and it's a big task. And I like that kind of training, a 3 month long experience working with the growers almost every day. So these are some of my awards. I'm not going to probably go through any of those except the last 2 ones, which as a master's student I was fortunate to get the highest ranking in the state of Karnataka, where I come from. And also I got a gold medal, which really helped to get the Rotary International Scholarship. So what I am going to showcase today is those awards at the graduate level or undergraduate level or even PhD level will help the students to boost their energy to go forward. So that I think I have been doing this in the last 20 years. Okay, what is the importance of the award to the students? It means to them. So I tried to do that in the last 20 years. So you'll see that in a minute. So as I mentioned, we as a horticulturists, we all are doing a lot of work in research, extension, teaching, and sometimes we take it granted, and people take it granted that what we do. And I think we do more things than what we all believe. We really play a major part in society than any other departments in the College of Agriculture. We really deal with a lot of things. For example, here you can see that we involve even in reducing stress. Just sitting under a tree with the good flowers, you will reduce stress. And going to the yard in the evening, it reduces stress. Just that I leave that as an example. So in the next slide, which probably you can expect that I have been working for these particular things on the health benefits of fruits for the last 20 years. I believe in it because I lost my dad at the age of 53, and he died with a lung cancer. And my goal is in my life, I would like to see if people can prevent certain chronic diseases such as cancer. So that's why I took this task 20 years ago, to come to the United States, again, because of the Rotary International Scholarship, of course, and find not a cure, we hope to find a cure, but at least prevent certain diseases by eating more of a healthy food. So what is interesting is now we have a lot of strong evidence on heart health to fruits and vegetables. We are still working hard, not just only us in Texas A&M and around the globe, on finding a solution or finding a strong evidence, scientific evidence to provide on cancer and other diseases such as skin and aging and osteoporosis. This is just a list of some things, but it's not just an exhaustive list. So as I mentioned, we're all sitting here in a land grant institutions, one of the land grant best institution in the country. And for the land grant institution to succeed, and particularly the academic departments in our college to succeed, each academic department needs these 3 pillars. And you can consider that as stools or legs for the stool. So if one of that leg is broken, or if we as a scientist or a staff or students do not pay attention to one of the leg, we may have a problem. We may not fix that problem. So my job, if I take this position as a department head, is to make sure that we balance all of those legs so that the stool can stay for a long time and permanent. So if we do not fix it, and it's not easy, but that's the job of the department head, to bring in and balance all the 3 legs or pillars. So we all talk about shared vision, and I looked at some of the information in the books and literature. What is really shared vision? Why everybody talks about shared vision? In every leadership conference I attended major 2 conferences, but I attended a lot of the one-day courses in the last 20 years, probably about 10 or 15 one-day short courses on the leadership. Everybody talks about leadership in shared vision. What I believe, and what even the literature suggests, is it gives us a good magnetic power to sustain for a long time. If we do one-man show, it won't sustain. And it also gives a lot of strong feelings about personal effectiveness, why we are here for, and why we are working for the department, or why we are working for an institution. And also it gives a department loyalty, and that is important. We have to have a citizenry of the department or the organization we work for. And it also helps in consensus building. We need to have that all the time. And also, as I mentioned, it reduces stress. If we have a shared vision, really the department head can go without stress to home. If we do not have a shared vision, then definitely that person will not sleep well. because that will be tinkering all the time. So it gives a pride, and also it facilitates understanding of job expectation for each individual working for that institution or a department, and also it builds a teamwork. So how do we do that? I think, in my opinion, for a shared vision, it is not, I can say, okay, I'm going to do all of these things because I want you to put me as a department head. I'm not here for that. I would like to state forward up front, being worked in this department, being a student of this department, I'm proud of this department. We need to have a facilitated external person coming here to our department and have a shared vision session, maybe a 2-day or almost 3 days, somewhere outside the campus, so where we don't have cell phones or nothing for our own activities. At least 8 to 5, we have to really spend some time on that. So that includes not just faculty, it needs staff, it needs extension off-campus centers, it needs students, and it needs also sometimes old alumni of our department. So, and it needs some collaborative planning, it needs strategic leadership, and also as a department head, I would like to spend some of my own time, if I'm selected for this position, to think about bigger picture thinking. How do we move the department forward? If we just routinely involve in everyday activity, if I don't spare even half an hour or at least 3-4 hours in a week about big picture thinking, it is hard to move the department forward. We'll be involved in a routine process. So I'd like to take that challenge in myself, make sure that I spare time, whether it could be in the office or it could be at home or whatever, but not in a vacation time, of course. But definitely I would like to use that time in big picture thinking. And also, as we always know, coffee conversation will help because you get to really know what are the problems of the department. And also one-on-one meetings sometimes. And the other important thing we need to do is how do we make sure that there is a good interaction between the senior and junior faculty and the staff members, and constant input from the staff, students, and all the members of this, all the stakeholders basically is important. And the shared vision has to be dynamic, because we are all evolving in a society where what we thought 10 years ago or 5 years ago was great, now it's not there anymore. So it has to be dynamic. So shared vision, as I mentioned, we need to in order to achieve the pursuit of excellence, we need to bring in everybody. It's just not the faculty. We need to bring in staff members. We need to bring in industry from fruit and vegetable industry and green industry and pecan industry, whatever the industry we deal with it every day. And also the students, the present students and the old students or the former students. So if we bring that, I think there is a possibility that we can kind of plan at least what is next decade looks like and how do we plan on it. So what I'm going to do is, there are 4 thinking I put in my CV, and I want to explain a little bit with some of the facts. So that will help for achieving our department goals in the next decade. So first I'm going to talk about effective teaching. What is effective teaching? And I think we are so fortunate to have excellent faculty in our department who are excellent in teaching. I think I can very strongly say in any parts of the country. So we are really lucky that we have very good teachers in educating the students in a different way. So we need to encourage that. We need to encourage or empower this high quality learning. What is that entails to develop a high quality learning? It needs management, it needs leadership. A lot of times we get mixed up those things. Management is routine operation. Sometimes a procedure for registration or recruiting students that needs some of those management skills. Sometimes that doesn't have to be done by the department head. It needs some directions, of course. But the department head comes into picture where the leadership can play a role. How do we move that high quality teaching? And we're doing great on that part right now. How do we move forward so that we can recruit more students, so we can tell the society that how we're impacting to the state of Texas and beyond, and create an environment where a lot of these things has to be faculty driven, not just one-man show. And it is important for the society now if we can create that critical thinking in kids' mind. I don't want to say kids now, most of what we're dealing with is adult students, but critical thinking is very important for us as a faculty to inculcate in students. And also we have to think about the undergraduate research and internship experience, and also innovative and appropriate use of technology. So what I believe is teaching is not just classroom teaching. We're doing great, and some of us are doing the other things also in research and internship. What is important is how do we integrate these? How do we make our department look far better than any other department in the college? Or how do we look like other institutions in Cornell or other universities where we can look for? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of my experiences on what I did in undergraduate teaching and graduate teaching, and how I try to integrate these activities, and that way you can tell whether I have any knowledge in this undergraduate teaching experience and in research, undergraduate research experience. So in the last, during my career, I was able to provide an opportunity for about 36 undergraduate training. And these are all in the lab. These are in different places. Of course, as a center, we provided about 90 undergraduate students training. But as myself, since from my career in Kingsville and here, I was able to get several grants, so I was able to provide this undergraduate research experience for about 36 students, and including high school students. What I believe strongly is, and I tell my students all the time, when we hire any students, you don't come to the lab, at least in my case, just for the job, just to get the pay. We want you to come for a job with the innovative thinking. If you bring in some ideas to the table, along with the graduate students and postdocs, if you really work hard in that goal for a consistent manner, you get some rewards for that. The reward is we can send you to some of the professional meetings and even be part of the peer-reviewed papers. So what I did in the last, 15, 20 years here in this country is we provided an experience to several students, as I mentioned, research experience, and we had about 7 undergraduate students who are part of the peer-reviewed papers. If you look at my resume, you can see those names, but these are 2 examples. And I'm proud of that, because if they bring in ideas, I don't want the graduate student to take that credit. I want that to be shared with the graduate student and postdoc. I make it very clear to the undergraduate students in the beginning itself. But if there is a problem, of course, I'm very good in trying to solve that problem among the graduate students and postdocs. I was fortunate, again, a lot of fortunate things are happening because of my presence here in the United States, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to excel myself. I was fortunate to bring in about $920,000 educational grant in mostly federal grants. These are IDC generated grants for Dr. Pearson. We always talk about whether any grant will generate IDC. So I was able to get those grants, again, to provide this undergraduate teaching, research, and classroom training. You'll see that in a minute. So I was able to develop, when I say it's really not right. I think we were able to develop 2 unique courses in the country, and I can say even in the world level, because of the multidisciplinary, multi-state efforts, and several faculty in our department were involved in this. I don't want to name because I'm very bad in forgetting the names, so if I name one, there are about 6 to 8 faculty in our department were part of this 2 courses, unique courses. And not only our department, even nutrition department in our college had a role, and several other institutions like Ohio and are part of this multidisciplinary course. And I can easily claim we are the leader in this nation in this type of course. Nobody in the country has these courses. So these are multidisciplinary. It has face-to-face as well as e-learning and streaming video, and it has used a lot of technology. Sometimes we consider the interactive video conferences old, but for this kind of courses, I captured that money because we used that at the right time for the right course. So we were lucky to get those type of funding to initiate that. So this is an example where 2 of our courses were spread. In Texas itself, there are 5 institutions got benefit. All the universities here in Texas, Texas Tech Lubbock, UT Austin, Texas A&M, UH got the benefit. All the students were located in Texas at that time in the beginning. In 2006, I got another grant. We expanded that course to the other institutions. So we got about 5 land grant institutions in 2 courses. Each course had about 3 land grant institutions getting benefit from this course. So we think, I'm very strongly saying that because I checked this, we are the leader in the nation as a Department of Horticulture in these kind of courses, multidisciplinary courses. And these courses started as undergraduate based on the evaluation of the students and peers, and from other faculty we converted those into graduate course because those are probably the level we need to be there. But again, I'm a very good person to deal with the funding in terms of how we capture that funding, because the funding was available for undergraduate education. So in the initial stage, we put the proposal, we sold that idea that is needed for the undergraduate. We built in that evaluation system, so we said at the time, okay, whatever the evaluation outcome is there, we're going to change that course. So we did that in these 2 courses. So we also developed a curriculum for these 2 courses. We invited 3 land-grant institutions from Ohio and Iowa scientists came into here to College Station in Hilton. We had a 3-day session. Again, it's funded by the grant. We conducted an evaluation of the course. We published 2 peer-reviewed articles, and we had 10 invited presentations and 1 editor reviewed. And this is again a collective effort by an education expert in Purdue. And Dr. Leinberger was involved in the initial stage. And Dr. Kim Dooley here in College Station involved in this. And we have an evaluation expert in Purdue. He's still continuing some of our work on this type of multidisciplinary course. And what I also believe is sometimes I challenge the students to come up with some ideas. And I believe in this young mind than 50-year-old guy. I pose them questions. Okay, I'm already exhausted of my ideas on how to better communicate in the class to the students. How do we expand this communication model we have been using for 10 years? So I challenged one of my students who is here, Ram. Okay, I need to bring some new media. And I'm not a shabby guy on the Facebook, but he brought, okay, let us start this Facebook. And I was kind of not happy with that in the beginning. But we found out last year that Facebook was the best way to communicate to the students. A lot of these ideas, a lot of faculty, you can see Dr. Howard from Arkansas, he was communicating to the students, not only him, of course, somehow we got his picture in that particular snapshot. But we got almost 23 scientists around the country were involved in the Facebook discussion with the students from 3 universities. I found, in the initial stage I was hesitant, but now we're planning to use this as a preliminary result to go for the next grant, for any kind of educational grants. And we also use the train the trainer. What we did in this grant is we were able to bring in, train the undergraduate students. Our goal was those students have to train the teachers, high school teachers. We had several sessions here in Texas, in College Station. We had several sessions in Iowa State. And that we found out the students really matured enough to train high school teachers. We got some good feedback from the teachers that how students are really talking about these benefits of fruits and vegetables and science of foods for health. So what I also think in the last 20 years, what I believe, because I work with these growers all the time, what is happening is, and I get these questions all the time from the industry, that you guys are doing great, but what we're not doing is you're not somehow inculcating this habit of becoming farmers in the younger blood. If you look at Texas fruits and vegetables industry, we have only less than 10 people who are younger doing farming now. So if we do not continue to inculcate that habit of farming is important for the future of Texas and the country, we may lose farming operation. Somebody else may be taking over that farming operation. So which is probably not a good sign. We need to be training a lot of these students in how they can also do farming. We somehow find, I think there is a notion by a lot of growers or the sons of growers that the agriculture is mud and dirty work. It's hard to recruit, but I think if we can inculcate it's just farming is not just dirty work, it has a lot of other things. So what I did is in my citrus course, every time I taught this course, we used to bring students from College Station to the valley. The 4 days trip was almost more than, far better than all the whole semester teaching here. The students appreciated that, seeing the packing shed, seeing the farmer's field, and interacting with the industry. I used to have all the industry session with the undergraduate students, discussing with them, okay, what are the job opportunities? How do I farming? How do I start my land to be useful? So we had those discussions. So those I felt is probably needed now to be energizing our department. And I get this industry asking these questions, when do you do those things? So we need to be continuing doing those things. And also, we are fortunate to provide experiential training opportunities. Here in Texas A&M, Iowa and Ohio students came here, and our students went to those states. And you can see they are also enjoying the snow at that time during Christmas. So these are experiential opportunities for students from this institution and other 2 land-grant institutions coming here to Texas A&M. So now I'm going to move on to research excellence. What I believe in my personal experience, research excellence cannot come without a strong graduate program. And I think it needs a lot of work, and we're doing good, but we need to be excellent on that issue. I think we were excellent. We were, again, it's not anybody's fault. It's a funding time. It's unfortunately our funding is not doing good nowadays, so we lost that track. We need to come back to that excellent stage. When I was a student, I came here because Texas A&M was rated 2nd in the nation. I got admission in Cornell. I came here because of the weather, of course. My wife didn't like to go to the cold place. But we would like to bring that to excellency again, and I think it's possible together if we work on it. So these are some of my thoughts how we can make the graduate training better. We need to train the graduate student to be innovators of future, strengthen our graduate program, and reduce the disconnect between the undergraduate and graduate. That's very critical now, I think. I see that it's not an easy task. I can tell you it's easier to say than done, but if we can plan in our curricula, and I think we can do that, and we need to plan on that, and we need to think about competitive assistantship, and that will also help to motivate the student excel. If we provide a little bit more salary, we can expect more from the students, and I have been doing that most of the times. I push the students to work hard, and if you ask any of my students, they don't like me when they're in Texas A&M. When they graduate, when they get job, you'll hear what they are, and I get a lot of compliments. I'm happy about that. I'm not worried about what they say about when I'm supervising them. So student-led seminars are important. I see that in other universities are doing, and even in our college there are some departments are doing. We need to build some leadership skills in students because that's where they get jobs. So we need to initiate the seminar series with the student-led seminars rather than we as a faculty doing it. We are already kind of exposed to the leadership skills. And also host some social events and bring in not only the students, I put among the students only, but I think at the time we need to bring in staff and faculty, have some social event. I can tell you when I was a graduate student here in 91 to 94, I enjoyed the Christmas parties until midnight. So we need to, I don't think right now our students are doing it. Not that we have to have always those parties, but we need to build that culture of working together. So provide skills is important, and not just providing one skill. I think with the new age, if we train as a breeder, if he or she do not have a skill on how to analyze phytochemical, what are the sensory things, or what is biotechnology, at least to some extent. Not necessarily he or she has to be completely trained, at least have the knowledge. When they're putting a big proposals, they need to be aware of that at least. So we need to provide the training in multidisciplinary skills, so that will help them to get jobs. So research is the same thing. As I mentioned, research and graduate education goes hand in hand. In fact, even undergraduate research also goes in hand. I showed you already some of the publications undergraduate students published. So we need to facilitate that stellar research in our department, enhance the translational research because it has to be useful to the growers or to the industry. And we have to collaborate with other departments and within the other institutions. And nowadays, that's the only way we can get funding, unfortunately. And encourage the systems-wide approach to do anything in research now, because we are fortunate that as a horticulturist, we have a big opportunity to tap in that big money. And some of our faculty received some money. We're really, and this is the time we have to capture that. The SCRI is one of the Farm Bill, was approved $50 million, and it was expiring last week. And I just came to know just 2 days ago, we were all thinking that it may go away. The good news is they are going to not only increase, keep that $50 million, they're going to increase about another $28 million. So that, again, that doesn't mean that we all get the same thing. We may be able to be tapping that $78 million to at least if we get 1/10 of that as a department. We'll be happy to continue that kind of thing. So we need to probably, again, the $28 million is again in the Senate. We don't know yet, but I'm optimistic it will be approved because we have a strong industry members like United Press is a key player in that. So they are really on the forefront. They are the one who initiated this Farm Bill, and they are aware of this, and they are working hard to keep, not only keeping it and increasing that Farm Bill and SCRI funding. That's a good news for the horticulture faculty in general for every field. So we need to identify the focused areas, and the focused areas, once we identify today, it may not be same in next 5 years or 10 years. We need to capture the timing. Sometimes timing is important for everything in research. But at the same time, we should not forget what we have been doing also, because that's the backbone for our department. So we need to continuously think back and see how we can move forward. So again, coming to the graduate student training, what I also believe is whenever I hosted a visitor, I have hosted probably about 200 visitors in the last 5 years. And I try to make sure that industry visitors meets with the graduate students or undergraduate students, even though their schedule is hectic. At least find a ways, maybe find a luncheon so that students can also come. And this is just an example. General Mills came and they were interacting. You can see students are asking tough questions. The guy behind Sean went back to General Mills, presented it, and now if he finishes a PhD here, I'm hoping he'll get a job there. Those are the kind of things we have to facilitate that. It takes some time and effort, but we have to think a little bit. And this is another example I'm always proud. Back in 2006, we initiated in College Station that. It worked in a simple way in College Station. But in the next level, I wanted to take that to the international level. We had a big conference in Houston. Some of you are aware of that. What we did is in this one, I put this, of course, charge to the international students, not only the students in College Station, really global. Sweden, Ireland, India, several students from US. We sent an email, we put some group leaders of students, they were in charge for 1 month. A PhD student should present their work in 8 minutes. There is an opponent team among the different countries. They have to ask questions. And at that time, there were industry, and the scientists from 38 countries were part of the luncheon. It's a specifically graduate luncheon in a 5-star hotel, which I don't probably repeat that 5-star hotel now, but I was able to raise some funds from the industry to do this. So what I'm proud of this is on the same day of that luncheon, 2 of the students got the job. One is from Sweden, one is Jay Morris. You probably know that. He's a graduate of Texas A&M. He's our department student. And Amit got 3 offers last year before he graduated. He published about 10 or 12 papers before he graduated. So we need to encourage those kind of things as a faculty. And if we don't do it, and our productivity, our ranking will be in bigger trouble. So, and as you probably heard that from my students, I'm a tough guy, and probably students do not like, and I agree with that. There's no question in that. What I believe in it is if we give them a tough time when they're studying, I think they can excel. And I strongly believe it, and I have a proven track record that my students, in the history of my career, they got 52 or 53 awards, if you look at this, the third row. And from students, about 73 peer-reviewed publications. And I strongly believe in it. If somebody says no, I probably disagree, but I can sit and talk to them why. I'm a tough guy to deal with the students because I want them to succeed. My happiness will come not when they graduate. My happiness will come when they're in job. So that's why we need to be thinking. So this early morning, I saw a Chronicle of Higher Education article, and she got some funding from Sloan Foundation in Michigan State. And that makes me more inspired, of course. How do we find where our graduate students are going? And I just got this early morning, and I just thought maybe I should share with you. It is an important thing. Where our students are, where are they ending up? In fact, I saw another story next to this article. One person is getting some aid, and she's out of the job with a PhD. But what I wanted to show you is, luckily, at least in my career, all of my students are in job now. It's in the whole 20 years, whoever has graduated. So I'm fortunate that, and of course, the current students, we have to find a ways to, or we have to facilitate that happening. That's the only way I can get happiness. So as I said earlier, multi-skill is important. I use this example in all cases because that's probably the thing now. And Justin Buscher, most of you know that, he graduated last semester. He came here from Arkansas. He was really breeder. Dr. Crosby was training him in breeding, and we thought, okay, we should really talk to him. In fact, he was almost living in the middle. But I like those students. I like when student is really concerned about it, then I don't have future, then you encourage them, they get succeed. So in the middle, Dr. Crosby and I had a lot of discussions. He did a great job in breeding. He's a great breeder even now. And what we did is we provided another tool on phytochemical analysis. And also we trained him in biotechnology. So before he graduated last year, he got a job in seed company. So last semester we had 5 students graduated. All of them are in job now. So that makes us a little bit happy. I have the similar things for all our students now, but I don't have time to show all of that. Just an example of how we can provide the training. So this is what I meant system-wide approach. And please don't copy this because it's part of our proposal. But this is the way I think a systems-wide approach. And I try to sell that to SCRI, and I'm not still successful. And I hope one day I'll be successful. I'm a persistent guy to make people to believe at least in what we believe in. It is a team of 26 scientists from 6 states, UC Davis and Arizona and Oklahoma State. We put a proposal. This year we focused on only melons because we were focusing on several crops. This year we focused on melon. System approach is critical. We need to think about breeding. Again, this is an example for vegetable crops. That doesn't mean this table will match to other green industry crops. We have to think about innovative ways. If we can put a team like that, it includes a lot of stakeholders. We had several industry. We were able to find about 7.5 million match for this proposal from different industry groups. It's another challenge we have always in the SCRI grant. Hopefully that bill will be modified this year to take that match. But again, we have the extension things. We also have a stakeholder engagement conference things in that type of thing. So we need to be building this kind of a concept to build the system-wide approach for some of these crops. And I'm not saying this is the perfect model. This is just an idea of several scientists in the country. That doesn't mean that it will work for every crop. And also I believe in rewarding scientists. We started the Director's Award. It's not evaluated by anybody in Texas A&M. It is evaluated with external scientists from Cornell and South Carolina and other states, Ohio. They evaluated how our scientists, we have PIC scientists. The examples I'm showing is only the scientists of our department got the award during the last 5 years. But we have some scientists in nutrition got the award. For the sake of departmental purpose, I'm showing only these. And also we need to encourage the staff to be rewarded in some form of fashion, to encourage, submit the application for nominations. I believe in nominating people. You must have seen in our department, I probably nominated about 5 or 6 in the last several years, and 80 to 90% of them successful. One I'm waiting, but I think the deadline is over. I don't know the news. But anyway, we need to encourage the excellent faculty or staff to be nominated to get that whatever they do is rewarded in an indirect way. This is my track record as a personal track record of some publications and invited talks and edited books. And the grant, as Dr. Pearson mentioned, I was able to secure about $11 million grant in my career from Washington State to Prosser to Texas A&M. And also as a center, that was a challenge I was put on by some of you as a faculty 7 years ago when I came as a director. Several of you asked the question, okay, how do you increase the publication? I was fortunate the central administration, AgriLife administration, helped me to formulate some policies of the center wherein the department head of that faculty and the faculty would sign some of those agreements. What is that agreement states is, the VFIC members knows here, but the agreement says, what are you giving to the VFIC if you are a member? What are we giving to you as a VFIC? If you agree to those, these are the conditions. So that helped us to be ready for the last year review. First time when I did the review, it was hard because it was hard to count anything. You had to count the beans most of the times. So it was helpful for me to count. So our publication record in our center is about 203. It's an average about 33 per year. And also we were able to submit $89 million grants. A lot of credit goes to Connie and the help she provides to faculty, not only in our department, to the other departments. So of course we want all of that 50% to come back. We didn't get all of that money, and that's why we had to throw stones in 10 places to get one. So we were able to secure about $14 million grant as a faculty, we have PIC faculty from different departments in total in the last 7 years. So whatever we do, we have to make sure that administrations like it. That's important. We have to make sure our work, what we do, has to align with the College of Agriculture and AgriLife and the institution as a whole. So whatever we did, I showed you earlier some of the examples. This fits very well. It fits in teaching effectiveness. This slide I showed when I was doing a review with the central administration last year. So it helps in showing them, okay, what we did, because they want these to be matched to what we do. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble if we do that. So even the language is important too. We need to make sure that teaching effectiveness has to be stated there. And whatever the way you do, you have to demonstrate that part. So alignment of our department work, whatever we do in teaching or research or extension, has to align with the college or the university. So now I'm going to talk about the importance of diversity and globalization. That is really important particularly in this age, in the recent particular years. If you can see, the NSF director stated the population, undergraduate population, and the dynamic shift in that population, we will have majority of the minorities in this country. Not only in the country, but in the state of Texas, we will have a bigger challenge. It's not a challenge, but we need to make probably an opportunity. By 2020, about 50% of them will be Hispanics. And if I'm talking in state of Texas, I should not use the Hispanic word. I should use the underrepresented, because I got one of my federal proposal was rejected because I used the Hispanic word. So I had to use the underrepresented word because the state law and federal law. So in any way, so by 2020, we are going to be equal. So where we are as a department, how do we serve that population? And I can tell you, based on my experience, you'll see that in a few minutes, if we do not serve that population, at least we're getting something now from the state. We may not get anything. So when we go to the legislatures, when we go to the industry, if they don't see that we're serving that population, it's going to be hard. So we need to be aware of that fact in our mind. We need to demonstrate, yes, we are providing the education to the students, underrepresented students also here in the College Station, not just only in the valley. Or maybe at least show them, okay, College Station is helping in the valley or Winter Garden area. So in that dynamics, I think we can embrace diversity and we can be a global leader. It's not that hard, but it takes some time and effort. And we can force some relationship. And we're fortunate Dr. Tim Davis is in an international office now. It helps to move some of those proposals, USAID proposals. Since he's not there, I should probably request him. I did already once in Indonesia last year. If some of those proposals going through, a lot of faculty involvement from here, he should run through us instead of international office, because we need to get the IDC back into our horticulture department. So that is important also. Encourage faculty in international agriculture. In curriculum development, we're fortunate Dr. Leo Lombardini is leading some of those courses, international agriculture, and it's a good thing, and we need to do a lot of study abroad program. We need to encourage that, because if we want to be global leader, we need to be doing more of those. Explore the new partnership opportunities with shared interest. It's important to have the shared interest. And also we need to think about some of the improved or new courses in a global arena. And some of the examples like food security, sustainability. And we just submitted a $750,000 proposal for educating or developing course on sustainability and food security. And in fact, as we speak today, this week is a review session, we'll know by 1 month. If we do that, we're using experts from Cornell and Stanford, all the top universities in the nation, and Germany to teach that one class on the global level. And we'll be again the leader in that if we get that grant. Again, if we don't get the grant, we need to think about, and I'm a persistent guy, we need to go on submitting it. I always never get one time. We have to go for 3 years, 4 years sometimes. We have to be patient. Educate and train the students is important in these areas, because that's the future, food insecurity. And whether you believe it or not, we think that the United States is full of food. We have about 14.7% of population is insecure with the food. And it's going to grow. And we need to be thinking about how do we, it's just in the United States, of course, in the global level it's a bigger scale. Even in the United States we have 14.7% in the latest record. Sustainability and other global issues are important. And I want to show what I said earlier about the Hispanic population is increasing. I was fortunate when I was in Kingsville, I got about $300,000 grant on HSI. That title of the proposal is Collaborative Initiative to Attract Underrepresented Students, because first year I said Hispanic, the proposal came back that you cannot use. So next year I submitted, just change the underrepresented. I got the money. My proposal was ranked first in the nation. But we were able to use that grant to show these Hispanic students, I'm sorry, I'm again using Hispanic, unfortunately, underrepresented students, there are leaders in your community. You can follow those rules or those kind of leadership qualities. You can be leader also. That was the goal of that conference. So I brought Texas A&M Kingsville president, UT Pan Am president, our dean in Texas A&M Kingsville, to demonstrate why Hispanic leaders should not be encouraging them, or why students should be sitting there without anything. So we had a parent session with Dr. Hector Aldape. He is now actually a CEO of a company which, as a department, we can tap in his resources. He's getting a lot of NSF grants. In fact, he was there last month here in College Station. He's a CEO of a company. He helped me at that time in 2003 to develop this teaching parents, actually, at that conference, teaching parents of those Hispanic students. And in fact, Dr. Byrne was part of this proposal. We sent some of the students from underrepresented students to his lab to get the undergraduate training experience. So we need to be kind of thinking, how do we address this Hispanic population now in a different way? And I can tell you, if we partner with the Hispanic institutions, we can get 30% of the grant here. When I was in Kingsville, I could get 70%. Now we should switch that. As a College Station, we can get 30% of the grant if we partner with Hispanic institutions like Kingsville or whatever the institutions you think are Hispanic with 75% population or 25% population. So, and this is, I think we have to encourage this kind of study abroad program, Dr. Starman's program and Lombardini's. We need to do more of those. Maybe some other innovative ways, maybe food security or something what is important now. How do we expose the students about what is food security? What is food insecurity, of course? And how do we expose them to what is happening around the world? Then they will appreciate the value of food here, what we get. So I was saying earlier about how do we link undergraduate and graduate. I am using this example for both purposes. How do we expand the diversity, and also how do we link the undergraduate to graduate program? So this is an example. Jose Perez, who came to my lab in Weslaco in 2003 as an undergraduate student, and he is the first person in his family to go to college. And he was in McAllen. He spent 2 years, and I moved here. He said he wanted to come, and he got a good one of the big NSF scholarship, but he was not eligible at that time. He got a 40,000 K for a master's. I encouraged him. He applied. He got it, but he was not ready because he didn't graduate in Pan Am at that time, and he was doing work in our lab. So next year, since he missed that scholarship, I felt really we need to probably help that guy. So we brought him here. He finished his master's. He published 3 papers during his master's, and then he's now doing PhD in our department. And also he has a good job, a secured USDA job. And last month is a tough, not last month, 2 months ago, Dr. Burr knows about it. He was having a tough time that he was almost losing a job because the USDA center in Weslaco was closing. So luckily he made a lot of visits to College Station. He's now back in College Station as we speak this week with the job and PhD. So he has a good full-time job in College Station, and he can continue. And I can tell you one interesting story about Jose. He's a great guy. He didn't know how to write in the beginning, but in the master's he wrote his 3 papers on his own. I just only helped in editing some of that. What it helped him is one of the paper he published. I was in a South Korea meeting with one of the scientists. He published a paper on HPLC analytical skills, and he was looking for a person in Weslaco USDA to work on that. So I told him, if he published, can you hire him? When I came back, I told Jose, you need to push your paper if you want to get a job. And I said, I'm going to do it. So he got the job in Weslaco. Now he's in G11 status. I may be wrong in the level, GS1, 11 or 12, I don't know. But and I'm confident that that guy will become a research scientist in a few years after he's finishing PhD. So we need to encourage that kind of linking undergraduate to graduate programs. And we need to follow through the students also. It's important to follow through because their success is our department's success all the time. So global level, I was involved in about at least in 10 countries. Recently you are aware that a lot of work in Brazil, Dr. Byrne involved in Brazil a lot. I was involved in some of these countries, and we hosted a lot of visitors in the center. So when the Geraldo, he came here, he was the Embrapa director, and his budget at that time was 200,000, and he increased to almost more than our USDA budget when he became an Embrapa director. And he was a postdoc in our center one time in UFIC. So I was invited to give a keynote talk in Brazil last year. I gave a talk, and I visited about 4 Embrapa centers. What it amazes me is Embrapa Vegetable has budget of $40 million. And I think Dan is going next month or next conference. He's going to visit that. He will witness that $40 million on just vegetable research. So I brought that message back to Dr. Hussey. He said, yes, I have seen also. He went before me, and he agrees with that. So we need to be thinking it's agriculture and horticulture should not be neglected. We should probably even bring those messages back to our administration and tell that when they're spending $40 million in Brazil, we should be at least spending about $4 or $5 million from the administration side on these kind of things. These are full-time faculty working on vegetables only. And again, if we look at our department, it's bigger than that. So I also, as you probably have seen in my interaction with India, because I have a passion, I graduated from one of the university there. Back in 2003, most of faculty knows we developed a MOU with this university. Dr. Borlaug was involved in that, and a lot of faculty involved, a lot of discussion with Dr. Heiler. So we developed an MOU. Last year I took a team of Vice President of Research, Global Initiative, Dr. Price, and several of us went to 4 institutions, including IARI. So we brought the team back, and what happened is our time was not good. With all the efforts in the 10 years, the government officials came last year, 2010, to our department and visited with us. We went to the administration and we discussed, and they said we'll put in $5 million to our departmental collaboration. The Indian government, I never even dreamt of, but that happened on that day. Dr. Hussey asked me, is it in dollars or in rupees? I said, yes, it is in dollars. They calculated, but unfortunately, it's not Dr. Hussey's fault or anybody's fault. Our timing at that time in the budget here in Texas was not good. So we could not match that $5 million. Of course, now whether I go back and see, of course, I don't know the situation now, the government, we brought some government officials because they're the one who makes the decisions. So international collaboration between Brazil and India and other countries is we should not be ignoring it, what I mean by that. We should be taking that, and again, that $5 million will probably not be coming here, what I try to sell that idea is we try to hire graduate students. By default, we are not getting enough American students, graduate students. So by default, we pay the Texas money or US money for them right now. If they put in $5 million, if we put in match, we don't have to pay that US money to other countries. So we'll get a graduate student, we get the same research or better research because there is a partnership there. So I try to sell that idea, and they like the idea. Unfortunately, because our budget time is not good, so we need to be thinking about those, revisiting those kind of things in future. So I showed what I was involved in here. This slide shows as a department we have involved in 25 countries. So forgive me if I left any countries you guys have involved. I just looked at the information from our department, and most of you are involved. If I left some countries, just forgive me on that, because that's a kind of, it's not an exhaustive list, but if you involved or if you establish some collaboration as a department, faculty as a whole, and off campus and on campus, we have involved in 25 countries, and there are a lot of opportunities to develop as a global leader if we just start doing that kind of what we're doing already. So, and also the good thing is our department faculty have is diverse. They are coming from different countries of origin. We have at least faculty from 10 countries. I may be wrong on the numbers, but just look at different countries sitting here, or they are not here today, some of them. But off campus and on campus, we have faculty from different countries of origin. They can also help in making this global department. So coming back to the last part of my talk is extension. That is very critical. And what I believe in, what I believe is we need to increase the interaction between the department in College Station with off-campus centers. We are doing it, but we need to do more job so that we can get a lot of graduate students. I can tell you, based on working in 3 off-campus centers in my career and working here in College Station, we gained a lot of benefits by interacting with off-campus centers. If we ignore, I think we're not doing a good job. We need to be doing more of those. And encourage faculty presentations. Service extension activities should not be only to the traditional growers. We should also go for even the advanced growers or advanced industry members. I'll show you an example in a minute. And synergy we develop between the on-campus scientists working with the extension people, I think that will develop some collegiality. That will be keeping us ready for some of these bigger SCRI grants. And I have done it, and we should be doing more about those. And several faculty are already doing it, but we need to enhance that capacity. We have already. We are present we have 254 counties, and our horticulture plays a bigger role in several counties. We have 23 county agents and several specialists, so we should be probably interacting with most of them. And serve the society at large, and we have a good 4-H program. We have a good, excellent master garden program. I was talking to Jaila a few weeks ago. The impact we're doing on a master gardeners program is about $10 million this year alone to the state of Texas. We need to be telling that story to the congressmen or the representatives we deal with. And we need to be telling how horticulture is playing a role in society, how many millions of dollars we're contributing. These are volunteer hours, about $10 million. Just an example of master gardener. High school students, we need to develop a lot of relationship with high school students. We need to be working with society at large, with students at even kids level. We are doing already. We have trained about 2,000 kids in our center. I have dealt with a lot of high school students in my career, and those are our future. And we need to attract them by talking to them, by giving presentations, by bringing them here, exposing them. South Texas Community College came recently. They were excited, and they're sending the selected students only to come here to see the facilities. So if we are there, we can attract them. Sometimes those scholarship opportunities are easier to tap into our department. We should be taking those opportunities. And of course, we need to serve the students, both undergraduate and graduate. We need to be serving the industry. I have only pictures of the produce industry, and the people sitting there is a Whole Food, Texas Restaurant Association, HEB, Kroger. All of these are, and United Fresh. We had a panel meeting, and I'll come to that in a minute, but basically we need to be talking to them what we do every day, how they can help us in an indirect way. And we need to be talking to the legislatures. Senator Chuy Inoza is a great supporter for us all the time, and we really need to be talking to the Congress people or even senators on the state as well as the federal level. And we need to work with the general consumer. That if we forget, we will be losing the track. We need to be talking to, we had a good conference here in College Station, brought everybody, every consumer possible in dealing with fruits and vegetables a few years ago. So I was fortunate to train or supervise 2 of the extension agents. They are not in our horticulture department. Omar and Doug may know, I'm sure he knows about those, Omar, and they were looking for graduate studies because that promotion requirement was there. So there were about 16 county agents came to our center, and I was fortunate with Kingsville, when I was in Kingsville, to kind of supervise them. And we need to expand that Master Gardener program. We're doing great. I don't think we have any dearth in it. We have to probably enhance that Master Gardener management, how there is a change in the county agents, how do we train these Master Gardeners in a better way, and free up program specialist time by providing certificate program. And if you look at the last week data, there is an increase of 6% in 1980 to 2012, about 22% of them are certificate program students in the country. That means a lot of people are going to a certificate program and then eventually they're going to graduate school or undergraduate school. That's a good part. So we need to be thinking about how do we develop some revenue to the department, not only in the Master Gardener program, it is already generating revenue to the counties, county agents, but how as a department can develop some of these certificate program to develop some constant revenue to the department. Empower need-based education. And I believe in this stakeholder engagement conference. If we forget stakeholders, I mean stakeholders here is engagement, is industry. We need to keep them in the loop all the time. If we can engage them, they can be our spokesperson. We cannot talk to the legislatures, they can talk to the legislatures. And if we are in a bad trouble, if our department is getting a threat from whatever the source is, we need to be talking to the stakeholders. And they can tell our story very well. We don't have any power to tell as a faculty or anybody as an employee of university. So we need to keep them in the loop. And we're fortunate our department was able to get some funding. Lisa is one of the key person in that, in this, again, extension bringing in money in a bigger level. So we need to be encouraging those kind of programs. And Judy Warden is not in our department, but she's an extension person with Lisa. So, and this is the right timing. And we need to capture the timing. Michelle Obama is pushing that. And we have faculty, Jane is in our department, she can help with these people to encourage more bigger grants on these type of things. So we can get more of this IDC generating money on those things. So this is a big story as a Texas A&M getting $5 million grant. And by extension people working with on a right timing at the right topic. I was fortunate back in 2001 to go to DC, being part of the Science on the Capitol Hill to demonstrate how to cut grapefruit and what are the benefits of grapefruit. And these are two congressmen. One is from the Valley, he's still a congressman. Charles is retired, he's doing lobby. Sometimes we have to use his expertise now being lobbyist. So I was fortunate to work with these people. It is a whole day, and Dr. Heiler promoted only my program. I don't know, they sent a photographer to Weslaco to take 100 pictures of mine. I didn't know what was for. So I was there talking about our stories. This is about 200 congressmen were visiting that booth on that day and talking about how the grapefruit or whatever, on that day it is a grapefruit and cancer basically. And we are talking about how the grapefruit can be beneficial to human beings. So I was also fortunate as a part of the congressional hearing in 2003. So we had a good discussion. Dr. Muscoplat from Minnesota, he was a dean. You heard Sandy yesterday in lunch. I heard he's not a great dean, but he was there as a congressional hearing at that time. So we were fortunate to deal with this. The reason I'm showing that is we in this particular position as a department head and the administration is pushing us is, and you will see that in few months that administration is pushing is, how we bring these program directors sitting in Washington DC just approving our funding, not looking at what we do. They read the proposal, they go by the reviewers' comments, they say, okay, Texas A&M, yes. But what we need to be doing, and I have been doing a lot of times is, several times I did is, the program director sitting in Washington DC, we brought them to the Valley. We showcased J&D Produce as an example, how the food safety things are managed. So he was thrilled actually at that time. So the reason I'm showing is how we bring these legislatures or the program directors sitting in Washington DC, how our industry can tell our impact to the program directors, not ourselves. Our industry has to tell them because the program directors won't believe what we say. How we are impacting to the industry is important. So this is another example. We arranged a conference in Austin. Instead of arranging this conference in College Station, we thought we had to find the right place because that's where the legislature and the money is there. So 2009, we arranged a conference on consumers to farm, where the changing patterns of fruits and vegetable industry. So you saw that picture of all the industry and the administration. Dr. Hussey was there, Dr. Seaman was there. So you can see that this is again audience of dietitians, master gardeners, all the audience basically. And we tried to promote what we do to the state, and Chuyi was there, and if we talk to him now, if we need something, he remembers at least. Whether I got the benefit on that month or that year, no. But if we talk to them, he knows about it because he spent at least an hour with us on that day, seeing the impact what we do. So the other thing is we have to be working with Austin and DC. I went to DC about 10 times in the last 5 years to help the industry to lobby for us, unfortunately. I cannot lobby, and we have to tell them if there's a scientific question, I have to tell them why we need money. So I was there in DC several times. I also worked with the state, and I always am a proactive thinker. If we don't think 2 years in advance or 1 year in what's going to happen, it's going to be tough. So I was fortunate to work with Joe Cox, who is our external relation officer in AgriLife. He's the one who helps a lot in getting the state funding to AgriLife. So we had a good discussion meeting. We worked with several representatives. For example, Armando, he's from Weslaco representatives. I can connect to him well what I did in Weslaco in grapefruit industry at that time. So these are, of course, most of the representatives or Congress people are from the Valley, because I could easily connect them what I did in Weslaco, and our industry could speak what I did to them actually. So it was easier for me to tell my story why we need money. So what I'm showing is this is 2009. It helped me in 2011, and just telling the story in 2009 helped me a little bit to some extent. So we need to be proactive in, again, publishing brochures, books again. So what are the challenges? I'll take a few minutes now. I know I'm already late on this time what I planned, but Dr. Pearson gave me more time. I'm going a little slow. External support for innovation is dwindling. And we all know that. We have been talking about major foundations have shifted their focus from higher education, unfortunately. And everybody wants what is their bottom line. And that's important. I don't blame them because they are industry people. They want their profit to go up. They don't care what we do to them. So, but how do we convince them is important. So our challenge in our department is funds. Whether you take research, teaching, or extension is funds. Because even teaching, some may argue that we don't need funds for teaching. Yes, we need funds for teaching more faculty. We need more faculty in teaching. That is funds. So it's funds. So if we sit and being pessimistic, we cannot do anything. So we will probably go down. That's where I believe what I bring into the leadership here to the department is I'm not a pessimist. Yes, in certain times, yes. If I get hungry, of course, until I get food, I'm pessimistic. Can I survive or not? But I'm an optimist person in my life. I believe in optimism, and I think if we take that challenge, what we have today, as an opportunity to tell to the group what we impact, we can go up rather than going down. That's what I believe in it. So there are a lot of sources of funding, not just external funding. External funding is a challenge. Sometimes going to Las Vegas and throwing a lottery. It's not that. We have to think about what are the other sources of funding available now at this type of budget crisis. So there are so many sources, and we have some good offices in our university and AgriLife. AgriLife corporate office is doing great in helping faculty. Foundation office, Federal Relations office, I worked with most of them in recent years. And this is an example. I never denied any visitors visit to our center in the last years. Connie can know, and if I'm not there, we find some ways to make sure that they visit it. So I was lucky enough to secure a commitment about 1.8 million foundation money, because we never missed it. So one of the visitors came, and then we had a connection with him in Weslaco, and we talked, and then in 6 months he committed 1.8 million, a commitment of course, and it's committed in foundation office. It is guaranteed if that estate is there. And also I was able to raise about 0.7 million scholarship money, and we planned for about 750 for one scholarship, which we didn't. We achieved about 250,000. Several of the industry membership and a conference grants about 0.7 million. The reason I'm showing those pictures, those are the Texas A&M Foundation people who comes to A&M. Our job as a department or a center is find a ways to bring them to our corridor, our center, our department, so we can tell the story to them what we do. I can guarantee you out of 50 people, one will start believing what we do. Not everybody on the same day, they'll start believing that happening. So this is the way, the product of what is the benefit of the visitors hosting in a center or department. I know it's a lot of time for the faculty, students, but I don't mind forcing the students or faculty even sometimes staying a little bit late. If their schedule changes what they planned, we have to probably be prepared for that. And it happened in several cases because they come with so many agendas here in the campus. This happens once in a year. We need to capture those kind of foundation people visiting our department. So this is another occasion I brought in NIH lady and USDA program director, of course our chancellor, the USDA head at that time, And the United Fresh lady, so of course, this is our institute director here in College Station. We brought in, discussed about funding opportunities for Foods for Health. And all our scientists of UFIC were there in a conference in a large gathering in a hotel in Houston a few years ago. And we had Todd Staples, and I was, in fact, you can see my hand, unfortunately. The questioning was how state can help this kind of program. And we let not only the scientists, the industry to pose questions at that time. We don't see those pictures here, but there are other pictures. So basically, we need to kind of initiate those kind of dialogues. That's what I'm showing the picture. And also, we need to be alert. Sometimes we get some bigwigs. Texas A&M Board of Regent was here in our center. He was asking me, okay, what is my impact of the center? I showed him we have this $10 million compounds. He started even putting a calculator and asking those questions. We were able to provide that when the Board of Regents asked the question. So it helps. And it means it may not help on the same day. It helps. Their help is needed. And I know there are politicians. It's hard to convince them. And we can't always trust those people. But definitely telling our story to anybody, it will help. Again, we had about 28 countries ambassadors visiting our centers. We had to again tell the story about what we do. Sometimes one of these ambassador may be part of the USAID grant, not USDA, USAID grant, where Dr. Tim Davis is working now with Indonesia. Those can help. In fact, it helps in several cases. So also, I was able to bring in the state, the national level directors of the center dealing with Foods for Health in Las Vegas in 2005 as part of the American Society of Horticulture Science. The goal was not to duplicate our taxpayer dollars. We don't want to duplicate same effort in every state. So I also was able to do that in Lisbon a few years ago, bring in different countries' directors to talk about how we can work together in a common way so we can tap in some source of big funding like Bill Gates Foundation in a global level to work on Foods for Health. And this is the conference I was talking earlier. We were so fortunate, Dr. Yves Desargeny and I from Canada started this 2005. And the first time in the global level, a symposium to really bring in experts from different disciplines, nutrition, medical science, horticulture, food science, all the aspects. So we started that in 2005 in Quebec City. We hosted in Houston. I was able to raise about almost $100,000 from the industry to conduct this conference. We were able to bring in about 350 participants from about 38 countries. What is important at that time is we had to be selfish. I had to be very honest here. We had to make sure that our state leaders, comptroller of state is part of that process. It took me about 1 month to find her schedule to fit to our conference, to bring her so that she can see that. And it helps, and it helped me a lot in several cases to see what we are doing in impact. She's the one who is making decisions of the money in the state of Texas. So we need to be showcasing those people also certain times what we do to the people. And just raising that hand, she has a lot of power. And I think I admire her leadership skills, the way she calmed down. In fact, our chancellor, Dr. Murano, myself tried to control the 38 countries mob when they're drinking wine. I could not control, the chancellor could not control, Dr. Murano could not control, but Susan Combs controlled by just saying, how many of you like kids? By just raising this hand, she controlled 38 countries audience. So I admire her leadership. I'm not saying with respect to the parties, but I admire her leadership, just controlling the 38 countries crowd when they're drinking wine. So we need to be showcasing what we do to them also. And we were also fortunate, I was a chair of one of the big organizations in the country, is American Chemical Society. We have a division which has about 2,700 members. I was a chair of that, and I was fortunate to also be a chair at the time when this particular division was celebrating centennial celebration. We thought, let us take our VFIC team there to Philadelphia and celebrate the centennial celebration. So we had a good occasion to celebrate the success of VFIC, and we had a big symposium specifically on pre and post harvest effects, and all of the scientists went and presented there. So we were fortunate, and all those people who were standing were the previous chairs of that division at that time. So you can see that Texas A&M and VFIC is represented very well. Not all of them were probably in the picture. Some were probably drinking wine there on the other side. But in any way, what I'm going to do is, I told you the challenges. Now I'm going to shift my gear a little bit to opportunities. There are challenges always in life for everybody, whether it's a family or in a department or an institution. But one must understand the challenges can be used as an opportunity. What I believe is now the green industry has a bigger impact. It has created about 1.9 million jobs in the country, of course. and it has about 175 billion impact, economic impact, and it is stabilized now. What we need to do as a scientist, can we go and tell the story to the industry and boost them so that that stabilization is stopped there, maybe increased. So if we boost from it was 142 billion few years ago, now it is 175. This is of course until 2007 data. It could be going down now because we don't have the statistical data now. But if we want to increase, if we can showcase that we can bring that to a little bit higher level, I'm sure that industry will start putting some money to the department. Not just only us, maybe we have to do collaboration with other states. So these are the things. In terms of fruits and vegetables, we have a big impact, although you see the $1 trillion figure here. If we want to serve the United States population with a very good diet, we need about $1.3 trillion. We have to spend about $489 billion to import fruits and vegetables, which we don't want to do that. We need to showcase what the Department of Horticulture can do. And this is an impact of Texas green industry, about $7.3 billion in Texas. We are 4th in ranking. And again, we are ranked within 10 at least in the state in different industry. And we need to also think about what our agri-life mantras. These are mantras. How do we position them as a department on those mantras? These are our new mantras from the agri-life. How do we position those? And how do we serve these big industries, not just small industries? They spent about $100 million last 2 weeks ago to bring a new hydroponics tomato in Village Farm started that. Of course, last week they lost about $40 million because of the hailstorms, unfortunately. Not with this one, the old one. So how do we serve that? How do we position? If not serving them, at least can we provide our undergraduate students to be trained and expose them to those kind of industry as an experiential learning? And I have been talking to the CEO of that, and he's interested in those things. I see Dr. Pearson is getting up, and this is another way. How do we serve this green industry and fruits and vegetable and nut industry? How do we serve? We have a green group specialist in our department. How do we serve this? This is in Singapore, of course. In our country, we need to do those also research. There is about $27 billion industry in our country in the green group, and we have faculty. Dr. Astrid Older is doing a lot of work. How do we serve that industry also? This is again a picture in Singapore. Dr. Davis and Dr. Luis Cisnero went last year. We took a picture. We were there together. What are my leadership core values? I'll take in 2-3 minutes and finish my talk. First is set an example. What I spent so far is I already have a good an example to talk about. How do I align actions with the shared values, inspire the shared vision, enable others to act, actively listen to the different opinion, because you can't just think what you think is correct, treat people with dignity and respect, show appreciation to individual excellence, build consensus is important. Resources are important. How do we appropriate that, allocate the resources, and how do we use the manpower? How do we use the physical resources and use it appropriately? Celebrate our values as a community spirit. So if I'm hired for this position, what do? I start, of course, understanding how do we transform the department. How do we develop that need-based? Is there a need of change first? Is there a need, or there's no need, we don't need to do? How do we build the leadership team in our department itself? How do you share our vision? How do we develop the strategic directions? Position our department for the next year review, because we had a review about 4 years ago. It will be coming next year. How do we position ourselves? Introduce new ways of doing things. Empower everyone, and sometimes we have to empower individuals, sometimes we have to empower the group efforts. Work directly with the K-1, because those are our future. We have to recruit those students. Another thing is we have to embrace those current endowed chairs, and I also suggest maybe we have to expand that endowed chairs from the ornamental to the vegetable or fruits. On the other token, we have successful vegetable programs in our department, Pierce disease program, potato program, gibber chip, foods for health. How do we encourage that in ornamental group? Those kind of programs. How do we get money from the state or other sources? Enhance teaching excellence. If we forget the teaching, I think if we put them under the carpet, we will not achieve. I think that's the only constant activity in our department, sustainable activity. We need to be doing good what we are doing, and we need to probably increase that effort. How do we act as an interpreter? Position the multidisciplinary grant. I already mentioned the SCRI grant. So those are the programs, successful ones now. How do we transfer that to the ornamental groups? And department funds for excellence. My goal is to develop a funds for excellence, provide that fund, pool that fund from different sources, from IDC, from different raising funds, from the developmental funds, and start rewarding for the excellence. That is a faculty or maybe a staff or a student's travel, whatever it takes to make the department better. So we need to pull that, and everybody has to chip in money for that. So that's my goal. It can start from a $0, but it can grow eventually. That's what hopefully we need to do that. And when we reward process, it has to be serving the purpose and mission of our department. And it has to be appreciating the individual talents and the departmental needs. And also we have to make sure the department is rewarding for all the things, not just research, not the teaching. Whoever does the transformation of knowledge, advancement of knowledge, integration of knowledge, and application of knowledge. All the three things are important. All the four things are important for our department. We need to be rewarding for all of the faculty. Some may be excellent in one, we should reward. Some may be excellent in other, we should be rewarding them also. So in summary, we need to develop a clear vision with participating everybody. I have proven capabilities as a decisive leader. You have seen some of my track record. Quality management is important. Collaborating, and I have been successful in collaborating. In collaboration is the key. I learned as a first year of my assistant professor in 1997. If I didn't collaborate, I would have not gotten this money. Undergraduate and graduate, I have proved those things are important. Worked with an extension group. I have track record of that, and also worked with both able to secure both traditional and non-traditional funding. And I like to support all the three legs or the pillars. And mantra for excellence for the department is collaborate, reward for the right activity, and introspect. What I mean is sometimes I may be doing something wrong. I need to sit myself, am I doing correct? What I did wrong, maybe present, maybe not right, maybe future is probably you have to think. And what is my fashion? I need to introspect myself, sit together, and maybe I should rethink about whether if 10 people are saying something, I'm maybe going in the wrong direction. How do I think myself and position myself to serve the department? This is the proverb I have. If you want to walk fast, walk alone. I believe that's not going to be probably the best way. If you want to walk far, walk together. So with that, my success so far is because of the team effort with the scientists, industry, and staff until now. And what I need is, if I'm hired for this position, I need support from all the stakeholders of the department, including the industry, staff members, and students and faculty. With that, I have two slides which is not relevant for this talk, but I will stop there.